We thought, given we were going to spend a lot of time talking about social media, it would make sense to at least have one speaker under the age of 40. Please welcome from Booz & Company, Bart Sayer.
Thank you, Scott. I'm very excited to be here today and to speak with you all about why we think that the luxury opportunity or the digital opportunity for luxury firms is a tremendous thing to go after. So very bullish, much in line with what Scott said before. You know, when we try to think about how you define luxury, there is no one set definition, right? But there are a couple of attributes which we do think help to articulate what luxury can mean. And it's a lot of what Scott talked about before. There's this notion of passion. There's a notion of striking up customer relationships. And lastly, there's this idea of building communities around interest. So passion, relationships, and communities. These are three core attributes, and we think that digital platforms are going to be uniquely placed to help luxury firms tap into this even deeper than they have in the past. So who is the luxury consumer today? And I think there's two main things we could say. One is that they're highly digitally engaged, and secondly, that they're very passionate about what they do. So if you look at the left-hand side in the top left corner, you find what? That when luxury consumers are looking to find information about the products they're going to buy, the number one place they go to is, perhaps unsurprisingly, the web. But what's of equal interest there is that's twice as high a ratio as that of the average consumer. So again, your luxury customer is very digitally engaged today. And secondly, they're very passionate, and that passion transcends over into the online space. Earlier, Scott showed the different Facebook fan numbers. And what you find here is Ferrari, for example, 670,000 fans that are spontaneously supporting the brand, that are going online, and that are posting pictures of their favorite cars in their favorite types of environments. So what could be a more positive way to promote your brand than through the word of mouth of spontaneous fans in the online space? Now, luxury experiences are increasingly available online. I think that, frankly, Martin did a wonderful job of illustrating this point. What happened is that up until recently, as he pointed out, this wasn't really possible. I think that media was often viewed, or the digital media was viewed as more mass market than anything else. But what's happened is as broadband has come into place and has allowed us to create more rich media types of experiences, there's been an explosion in the quality or the ability to create luxury experience, frankly, in the digital space. So I wanted to provide one example which is somewhat different. You might be familiar with How to Spend It. It's a magazine that the Financial Times brings out, and it's very exclusively geared to the luxury market. What they've done is in October of this year, they came out with the online version, and frankly, the reviews are positively glowing. People talk about the classy images and the ability to create a passion that they've not seen before in online publications. Before, it was only in the offline fashion magazines that I could create luxury. Now it's increasingly available in online. So it's interesting because we talk about the fact that there's a tremendous opportunity, but the marketers, the luxury marketers, are not there yet. And I think, again, Martin's statistic before was quite telling. If you look at the percentage of spending, advertising spending of luxury firms as a part of the total, it's a quarter that of all the other firms. So luxury brands on average today spend between 2 and 3% of their ad spend on online media versus roughly 8% for all others. But what's of equal interest, if you look on the right, is within the luxury firms, there's a dramatic bifurcation. Those that are digitally savvy or have an above-average digital IQ, as Scott articulated in the outset of the meeting, spend a lot more. They're much more adventuresome when it comes to the online space. Those that are the laggards, or average and below average from a digital IQ perspective, they're spending a whole lot less. And frankly, what this tells me is that there's a huge opportunity for luxury firms to double down in digital media today. So we've talked about before, I think, again, there were some great examples about the different types of media that they're creating. Luxury firms are creating them to connect with consumers and to integrate themselves more directly into their lifestyles. So how are they doing that? They're doing it through a variety of ways, from microsites to mobile applications, social networking, and e-newsletters. We've heard about, for example, Swide, which is a wonderful magazine which Dolce & Gabbana brought out. It's about tapping into people's interest in popular culture and into fashion. And if you look at Stefano Gabbana's Twitter log, he says the only way you're going to connect with the luxury consumer who's in the 20s today is through the online space. You look at the mobile applications, again, finding another way to insert yourself into your consumer's life. Gucci has a wonderful application called the Little Black Box for the iPhone, which I think is wonderful. In around 20 different cities in the US, you can find out what are the best bars, restaurants, clubs, and hotels to go to. So it's helping to integrate itself into my lifestyle. So these are ways in which digital luxury firms are leveraging digital media to ingratiate themselves into their consumers' lives. Now, we talked about what the luxury firms are experimenting with. I frankly think it's very helpful to talk about what some of the non-luxury firms or more mass market types of firms are doing, and what are the lessons that we could apply to the luxury space. Nike is frankly one of the best ones out there. They just get digital. So for those of you who don't know it, Nike Plus is a wonderful application. It's the largest runner site that they have on the web today. Around 22 million miles have been logged. 22 million miles have been logged by the members that belong to this community. And what it does is it allows you to set up a training program so that you yourself can monitor your progress, set up routes, and go back and report to a personalized professional coach. So I, for example, learned last weekend from Lance Armstrong, who's my professional coach, that I logged my best mile yet to date. It's very gratifying. I can link this up with iTunes and the music that I listen to. It's a wonderful way in which Nike is not talking about its shoes, it's talking about communities. So you have communities of runners. You have communities of basketball players. You have communities of football or soccer players. It's a very different approach to thinking about how you interact with your consumer. It's not about my products. It's more about the interests and the communities to which you belong and how I can help you to further that. So what exactly is the end goal? I think for a lot of firms today, what they struggle with is how can I integrate the on and the offline offerings that I have? Now, Brooks Brothers has done a wonderful job of doing this, and I believe Brian's here in the audience somewhere. He's the vice president for direct over at Brooks Brothers. He talked to us a bit about the strategy that Brooks Brothers has employed to go about doing this. And there's a couple things going on. I think, first and foremost, you have to talk about how are you going to capture all of this information. What's quite interesting is that Brooks Brothers looks at the store, the website, and the call center, and it gathers all this data into a unique repository, the 360-degree customer database, and it asks, what are the implications for how I interact with my customers? So in the store, what you're going to be capturing is not simply the dollar ring, but then there's more what they call implicit behaviors that they see in terms of what consumers' likes and dislikes might be. The sales associate will note this down, and that will also go into the database. Similar as you all might hear about on the websites, what are the newsletters that I opt in or opt out for? Do I respond to promotions, yes or no? How much am I spending? All this information, again, goes into this unique repository, which is the customer database. What this is allowing Brooks Brothers to do is to create a very unique, personalized sales environment, which is what they're all about. Customer service, a unique sales environment, which can marry what they see in the offline space with what happens in the online. So you have a virtual showroom in the online space where I can see, for example, everything that I bought in the store and everything that I bought online as well. It's a wonderful thing, so it can help me to jog my memory. What are the holes in my portfolio that I'm looking to fill? And what it also does is when I log on to my virtual space, there's a sales associate with whom I've interacted in the past who will talk to me about exactly what he thinks or she thinks are recommendations to enhance my portfolio. So it's really a quite nifty application, and it's been immensely successful. So today, Brooks Brothers has 1 million unique customers in its database after around 2 years' worth of effort. And what they've achieved is around a 50% incremental sales in consumers that belong to their database. This is a tremendous result. Oh, there we go. So I think it's not a question of whether luxury firms should get more involved in the digital space. There's no doubt that that's extremely important. What I'd like to share with you is how they should do that. So again, just to recap, it's about interest in communities. Don't focus on the product itself. Try to understand what are the communities of interest to which your customers belong and to find a way to connect with them there. It's about consumer insights. It's about being smart and proactive at capturing all the mundane pieces of data that, when rolled up together, can create a very holistic 360-degree picture of who your customer in fact is. It's about collaborating with partners. Again, I talked about the Nike Plus example before. One of the more telling aspects of that is a wonderful partnership that they struck up with Apple and iTunes. It's been just a wonderful gift. And lastly, metrics. Think about what you're looking to achieve. If this is not an e-commerce play, then think about the brand building metrics which you want to use in order to drive to the right results, ensure that you're on track as a company. So again, I think that the luxury opportunity in digital is absolutely tremendous, and now is the time to go after it. Thank you very much.